Hey everyone, Drew here, and things are getting a bit insane in Evertale as we already get the third new Storm character within a month. And this time it is Storm Ludmilla, the Red Dragon Race Queen. So taking a first look at her stats, they are pretty average except for maybe the speed, which is a bit below average. But the more interesting bits, as always, are in the skill set. So first up we have Swift Purify, which gives you 1 spirit, costs 70 time units and deals 75% damage to an opponent. And the juicy part of that is that it purifies herself and another ally who has a negative status effect. Then we get to Stormheart, which is basically a variation of Storm Antares' Thunderheart, but this one stuns all enemies for 50 time units instead of just one enemy with a full stun, and it also only costs 1 spirit, but it also heals her for 100% of HP. That's a pretty strong skill, needless to say, but it's also her only means of healing. The skill costs 50 time units regularly, but honestly I don't see any situation where it will actually cost 50 time units. It will usually be less. More on that we will see in the passives. Now her third skill is where the big damage comes in. We see her having the skill Vengeance Queen, which costs 130 time units and can attack 2 units, and the damage is dealt according to how many units this enemy unit has already defeated. So if it is 1 unit, then the damage multiplier is 400%, and if it is 2 or more units, then it is 600%. And what is important about this attack is that it actually ignores stealth and counterstand status effects and skin effects. So that's already very strong, and stealth counter units like Lancelot and Water Snow White will not be able to evade that attack and also not get the turn. So definitely a very strong attack if it is applicable. However, it doesn't ignore armor, so that is something that the armor units can appreciate after being left in the dust by stealth units for a long time. And it also doesn't ignore revenge passives, so that is very relevant for units like Dark Gene. Usual time unit cost for this attack is 130, and for the next one, Command and Combo, it is 100 time units usually. So both of these attacking or strong attacking skills cost 2 spirit, which seems a bit much at first, but now on this skill we see another very, very strong thing. I mean, it is locked at first, so she has to make an attack every time to unlock it again. That's where the combo in the skill name comes from. But what happens in this is that she deals 500% damage to an enemy and then gives an ally who has the highest TU from your team immediately the turn. So what does immediately mean? It means even if, Storm Ludmilla attacks a unit with a counter skin or something, and usually it would get the turn immediately, the ally would still get the turn beforehand. So again, this is something that seems like a counter to counter units, obviously. So this is hurting not only Lancelot and Water Snow White, but also units like Dark Alice or Storm Antares. Very, very strong attack, and obviously it reduces, the TU of the highest TU ally. She can't choose which ally gets the turn, so it might be an ally that actually doesn't need the turn for you necessarily. But in any case, usually this should be a pretty strong move. I mean, so the main consideration here is, of course, the spirit limitation, because it actually draws spirit, but as we will see on the passive side, she also has some very nice capabilities of producing spirit. So let's jump over there. And what I'm talking about here is, of course, the second skill, which is Gear Shift, a completely new skill. Gear Shift is basically a charge skill. So whenever an enemy unit gets a turn, Storm Ludmilla gets a charge. Simple enough, she can get up to 3 charges, but what does she do with these 3 charges? They will be used every time she gets a turn. What does it do? How many charges she has affects how many time units it actually costs to do whatever skills she chooses to do. And this is where it gets a bit crazy, because she actually gets 20% time unit reduction for each charge, and that is up to 60% for 3 charges. So it's not even diminishing returns on each charge, but each charge gives 20% reduction. So that means up to 60% time unit reduction. To illustrate what that means, her Storm Heart, which usually costs 50 time units, if she uses it when she gets the turn and has 3 charges, it only costs her 20 time units. But also her strong damage skills get insanely fast. So for example, Vengeance Queen, usually costing 130 time units, would then only cost a measly 52 time units. That is faster than swift attack skills usually are, even with Quicken. Now on the topic of Quicken effects don't apply to her. But I mean, even the Quicken skills, wouldn't change much more than the 60%. That is just absolutely crazy in my eyes. And it doesn't even stop there. This Gear Shift passive skills is a gift that gives that keeps on giving. And what I mean is that every time she gets the turn, and obviously most of the time she will have some charges because it just needs, enemy turns to get her charges. All of these charges will be released, and for each of them, your team will gain 1 spirit. So, and this happens after her turn, to be exact, so she can't use them for her own skills, but in any case, that's a strong spirit-producing machine, and it is not time limited. And her second passive is actually a regular hold crown, which we haven't seen in quite a while, and this one basically helps her to actually use her Storm Heart. More on the implications of her skill set a bit later in my analysis. But first we take a quick look at her AI analysis as provided by Nizetto. We have HP below 25% as a very big threat level, and this is important because that's when she can actually use her Storm Heart. So then enemies will be really fixated on her. So yeah, that is something to definitely keep in mind. The other threat conditions are basically about whether or not she can use her Vengeance Queen skill and how effectively she can use it. Otherwise, it shouldn't be very high. But as I said, so this HP below 25% is a bit worrying to me. On the skill side, we do see that Stormheart is absolutely prioritized whenever she can use it, which makes a lot of sense. Other than that, Swift Purify, Vengeance Queen, Command and Combo, pretty similar levels. Vengeance Queen a bit overweighted here. If she can use it, it will be interesting to see if she's using it if there is only one enemy that the Vengeance actually applies to, or if she rather does the Command and Combo then, which would be preferable if she is to be as strong as possible. The Command and Combo skill is absolutely something to watch out for, because it basically is a turn for her, a strong attack, maybe at like 40 time units if she has 3 charges, and at the same time it also gives you highest TU ally the turn, as we discussed earlier. Now, what are my first thoughts after seeing all this? Obviously, first impression is quite good. The passive side is crazy. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all the implications of the Gear Shift passive, which is, something that we haven't seen before. 60% time unit reduction is just kind of absurd, to be honest. She has very strong skills, so she could potentially dish out a lot of damage, but in general, obviously, she is more of a supporter unit, and she can, get off like this stun heart, or actually I think it's called Storm Heart, but in any case, so there's a few considerations, especially looking at her AI hate. I think the hate for her being very high when she's below 25% is making things a bit difficult for her, because potentially she might be a bit away from actually getting a turn again. And why is that? usually if she gets attacked and she goes below 25% and she gets the turn actually to, fully heal again with her Storm Heart, then all the enemies get stunned for 50 time units, at least if they are not stun immune, then we are talking about something different. But, or if they have a stun absorber. But if not, all the enemy units get stunned for 50 time units, and she gets the turn before any of them get another turn. What that also means is that she doesn't get any new charges until then, so she will be at 0 charges. And if she uses a high TU skill then, like 130 TU for the Vengeance Queen, then, she will be actually quite a bit away from home. Or rather, away from getting another turn soon. Nevertheless, we can't forget about the component of spirit production, which is also really, really good. I mean, whenever she gets the turn, all these charges, up to 3 of them at least, produce spirit, so she could get up to 3 spirit each turn, and if she uses Swift Purify, then she actually produces 4 spirit, and so that's kind of a great spirit production facility, especially because it isn't time limited, so it can go on for quite a while if she isn't, taken out. And this means she might also be a good starter unit that is a bit protected to support your units and especially your spirit production of these units, because she has not really high speed, so when she gets her first turn, she is probably already charged to some degree, which means her first turn will be very fast on the one hand, that's already pretty good, and on the other hand, she produces some more spirit for you. Just imagine the start of a battle, we have the Swift Purify at first, immediately, purifying some potentially poisoned enemies or something, and then pretty much, if she has 3 charges, the Swift Purify skill basically takes no time and she will get another turn soon, and then can do the command and combo, which, damages an enemy for 500% damage, and also gives a turn to one of your units. And that could be quite interesting, because we have seen, that kind of stun rise lately with Lancelot and Storm Sheen. So potentially there might be one of your units that has already quite high time units at the start and could profit a lot from that command and combo skill. Though I reckon she will be the stun target, but let's see about that. We can't really see that from the data, but usually I would think that, gift turn units are a bit more likely to get a stun, a targeted stun, at least if it's something from like Lancelot and Storm Sheen, for example, or Storm Rodosha. And so I would expect her to be potentially the target because of her command and combo skill. Then again, it is locked at first, so maybe not, because she can't immediately use it. Who knows? But in any case, first impression pretty strong, but still, need to see it on the battlefield. This one is a bit more complex than usual, I would say, especially if you look at the command and combo skill. It has like an insanely long description, and yeah, so we will have to see how it goes, but I do think she has the potential to go up until possibly SS tier. She is a very strong support that at the same time can dish out some great damage, so we could see a lot more of her. Then again, as always, this is just my first impressions, so stay tuned on this channel. I will try to provide you with actual footage from the battlefield with Storm Ludmilla. But yeah, thanks for listening to my ramblings a bit, and thanks to Lens.js, Saturn and Nizetto for the materials used in this video. If you enjoy my content, like and subscribe to become a true carrot. It really helps my channel a lot. And as always, thanks for watching.